What's up, guys? Wolf Movies here, and welcome to my review of all 5 Final Destination movies. If you don't know, Final Destination is a movie series about death. More specifically, the concept of death. This explanation will make sense if you watch the movies. Since they're making another movie, I thought I would talk about the first 5. With that out of the way, let's talk about the first one. So before I talk about this movie, I have to talk about how this movie came to be. This movie's screenplay was originally written to be an episode of The X-Files, but New Line bought the screenplay and made this movie. And before we actually talk about the movie, just a quick warning if you haven't seen it before. This is basically Anxiety the movie, and that goes for all the movies in the franchise. So if you're very anxious, don't watch these movies, or this video. Alright, let's finally get to the movie. So basically what happens in this movie is that a kid named Alex is on a plane with his class, and on the plane he has a vision of the plane exploding. Obviously after seeing that, he makes a scene, and he and some other people get kicked off the plane, and the plane explodes. Just like he said. After this, all the people who got kicked off the plane start to die one by one. They actually die in the order that they would have died on the plane. The death scenes are wild in this movie, and especially in the sequels. As cool as these scenes are, it makes me wonder, does death intentionally make these scenes so spectacular? Is death like a conscious being? I'm not sure, but according to Tony Todd, death has a design, and Alex and the others have cheated death. So death's after them. I think that this is a cool concept. Having the killer just be death or the Grim Reaper is interesting, and it opens up a lot of interesting ideas. Also, let me talk about how much detail they put into this movie and the sequels. There are so many small details that I didn't even notice. YouTuber CZ's World talks about these details that you might have missed in these movies, which I'll link in the description if you're interested. So let's talk about the ending to this movie. So in the climax, Alex saves this girl named Clear. Who the hell names their kid Clear? Sorry. So he saves Clear from death, and it cuts to 6 months later, where they and another survivor go to Paris. This ending, in my opinion, is a little weird. It just feels a little anticlimactic to me. I mean, it's not terrible, but I feel like the original ending where Alex died would have probably been better. Another thing that confuses me about this ending is that it's been 6 months, and death doesn't do anything till they're in Paris. Like, did death just take a 6-month break or something? Dang, they survived. Well, I'll let them live for another 6 months, and take them when they least expect it. So that was Final Destination. This movie was pretty good, even though there were some parts that I felt were a little stupid. I still think it's a horror classic, and I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. Alright, Final Destination 2. So this movie follows a different group of characters. This girl named Kristen is going through a highway, and she has a vision of a huge pileup. Why do random people in this series randomly get visions of accidents they're supposed to die in? Seriously, I know these movies would be pretty boring if it was just the first disaster scene and it ends, but like, is death doing this on purpose just to mess with them? Also, let me talk about this movie's opening disaster. It's a big pileup, which doesn't sound very interesting, but trust me, it's amazing. And it's almost all practical. The only CGI in the scene are the logs, since they tried real logs, but they weren't bouncing like they wanted them to. And they had to CGI the actors' faces on dummies, since they can't just kill the actual actors. It's good that this movie follows my rule on using CGI, which is only use CGI when you absolutely have to. After this, Christian blocks the intersection so no one can go on the highway. After this, the survivors die one by one. The death scenes in this movie are even better than the ones in the first movie. Not only that, they're more elaborate, and they also have you guessing on how they're going to go down. Like in this death scene, for example, I saw the magnets that said eye, and I thought that this death had something to do with eyes. Then he sticks his hand in the garbage disposal, and I think that his hand is going to get, like, chopped up. And then a fire starts, so I think he's going to burn to death. And then he makes it out, and I genuinely thought he was going to survive, but then it's not just this kill. Most of the deaths in this movie are like this. I don't know why I like this about the movie, I just do. Christian goes to Clear from the first movie, who has spent some time in a mental hospital, at her own will, by the way. One thing that really sucks about this movie is that Alex isn't in it, which on its own isn't horrible, but in this movie it's revealed that he died in between movies by a falling brick. That pisses me off so much, I don't know why. You don't just kill an important character like that. Anyways, they go to Tony Todd, and he says that if they bring in life that was never meant to be, then it might invalidate Death's list. This is good since one of the survivors is pregnant. This concept was originally going to be in the first movie, but it was cut out, even though I think it would have been a better ending to the first movie. They go to the hospital and the woman gives birth, but Christian realizes that the woman was supposed to survive the pileup. I don't know how I feel about this. On one hand, it's an interesting plot twist that I didn't see coming, but on the other hand, it doesn't feel right to me. After realizing this, Death kills Clear. This death is better than Alex's death, but it still doesn't feel right to kill a character like this so early on in the series. After this, Christian drives a van in a river and nearly dies, but is saved and given a new life, I guess. So that was Final Destination 2. Honestly, I think this movie is better than the original. The death scenes were a lot better in this one, which, let's be real, those scenes are the only reason we even watch these movies in the first place. And it's just more fun than the original. Even with some stupid parts and some bad acting, I think it's better than the original. 8 out of 10. Alright, Final Destination 3. So in this movie, a girl named Wendy has a vision of a roller coaster accident, and she saves a group of people from it, and they all get hunted down by death. Yeah, not much different from the first two. This was one of my biggest concerns I had when watching this series. I was worried that the movies would get more predictable and boring over time. But is this movie predictable and boring? I'll be honest, I could kind of get a good idea of how most of the scenes were going to go. So yeah, it was pretty predictable. But I still had fun while watching them. This movie actually does something that the other two movies haven't done. When Wendy was at the theme park, she took a bunch of pictures, and these pictures have clues on how the characters are going to die, which is interesting. But like, did Death give Wendy, Alex, and Christian those visions on purpose so they could save some people and he could kill those survivors off one by one? You know what? I'm gonna let Wendy know about this accident, and if she manages to save some people, I'll take them out one by one. There are two gripes that I have with this movie. One, the characters are terrible, and two, the ending. This movie ends with Wendy and a few other characters on a subway. Wendy has a vision of the subway crashing, and it fades to black with some crashing sounds. This ending sucks. However, it's better than the original ending. In the original ending, it just faded to the credits after this guy gets crushed by this lift thing, which would have been even worse than this, but also pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. But aside from that, this movie was okay. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Before I talk about the fourth movie, let me talk about this movie's DVD special feature. So, on some DVD copies of this movie, there was this sort of game called Choose Your Fate, where it would play the movie, but occasionally you would have to choose what happens in the movie. Depending on what you do, you could get some alternate scenes of the movie, which is pretty cool. It also made me think that it would be cool if Final Destination got like a Telltale game, or a game like Until Dawn or Life is Strange. That would be sick. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about this because I thought it was cool. So, the Final Destination, or Final Destination 4. I've heard that this is the worst movie in the series, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and see if it's actually that bad. So, the big vision disaster in this movie is a crash at a NASCAR race. And just look at it, it looks so fake. So, Nick, the guy who had the vision, saves a bunch of people from the accident, and once again, they all get killed one by one. And just like the opening disaster, most of the deaths in this movie look terrible. Not only are the effects terrible, the characters are terrible too. I know I said the characters in the third movie were bad, but these characters are 10 times worse. Aside from some cool kills and the awesome opening and ending credits, this movie was awful, and it gets a 2 out of 10. Alright, the final Destination movie, Final Destination 5. Let's hope that this movie is at least better than the last one. So this movie's opening disaster is a giant bridge falling apart. This is probably my second favorite opening disaster in the series, my favorite being Final Destination 2's Pile Up. So our protagonist Sam sees this disaster in a vision and saves a few people. I will say that in this movie, the characters are actually tolerable. They're not perfect, but they're a big step up from the characters in the last movie. Except for this guy, he sucks. And guess who came back? Tony Todd, the best character in the series. This movie has some great but very hard to watch kills. I love them and hate them at the same time. This movie also introduces another concept of death's design. So in this movie, it is said that if you kill someone, you'll get their lifespan or something. I don't know. This is an interesting concept that I'm surprised they didn't think of until now. So in the climax of the movie, one of the survivors, Peter, tries to kill the other survivors, but he dies instead. After that, the two survivors, Sam and Molly, get on a plane to Paris and see a bunch of kids get kicked off the plane. Yep, they're on the same plane from the first movie. The movie ends with the plane exploding with Sam and Molly on it. I was actually surprised that this movie was a prequel. I kind of just assumed it took place in 2011, which was when it was released. This movie is pretty good. It has good special effects, cool death scenes, and it surprised me. It's pretty much everything I would expect to see in a Final Destination movie, so I'll give it a 7.8 out of 10. Did you really think we were going to go this whole video without me even mentioning the new trailer for the next movie? Yeah, so I haven't seen this trailer yet, so we're going to react to it. Oh god, what is this? I'm already scared. Ugh.
My old man just died. I come in as a favor, and now they want me to lock up.
Ugh. New line.
Hey, 5-star review, yeah? Like and subscribe and all the things.
Ooh. So I'm assuming he's gonna die here. Oh boy. Oh god. Probably gonna have to mute this. Probably. I like that bobblehead, by the way. Oh boy. Ugh. I don't like that. Aww. Do we get more? Death. Runs in the family. May 16th. Oh. Okay, that trailer was pretty good. So that was the trailer for the next Final Destination movie, and it looks pretty good. They're probably going to make another trailer because this feels more like a teaser trailer to me. Now, will I be seeing this movie in theaters? If it gets good reviews, then I'll see it in theaters, but if it gets bad reviews, then I'll wait for it to come on streaming services. But I have a good feeling that this movie's going to be good. As long as the characters aren't horrible, and they don't use much CGI, and maybe add a new concept to the series, then it'll be a good movie. I'm excited for this movie. Hopefully it's good, and I will review it when it comes out. So that was the Final Destination series. A very interesting series. And for the most part, I enjoyed them. Except for you. This series has a lot of potential to expand to other forms of media. I already mentioned how a Final Destination game would be great, but they could also do a TV series like Chucky did. That'd be pretty cool. In conclusion, the series is pretty good, and I'm excited to see what they do with it after the new one comes out. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.